Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Jess. So against all odds, Bitcoin's most recent weekly candle close was exceptionally bullish. We pushed above the top of the weekly range at $104.4 thousand and signaled a high time frame breakout. But is all the recent price action really what we were hoping for? Has it been a real breakout, or is this just one giant bull trap? We're going to dive into the charts today and talk about everything that we're seeing, including the absolute bloodbath that has been the short time frame price action and all the warning signs that are popping up and what they could all mean. Let's get into it. As always, before we jump in, make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and sign up to my free Telegram channel for more regular Bitcoin updates. If you're a trader and you're interested in joining my VIP channel, be sure to message me down below on Telegram. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. Alrighty guys, so jumping into the charts, let's start off by talking about this most recent weekly candle close, because that is sort of the preface for this entire piece of analysis and why the current price action is so significant but also so confusing. So if we take a look at the weekly chart here, what we can see is a breakout from the top of our weekly range, this black line and this level here at $104.4 thousand. And that sort of price action and this breakout is essentially what we've been waiting for this entirety of months worth of price action. Particularly though, ever since Bitcoin on the 21st of April pushed into this most, prior weekly range, this is sort of the breakout. This was the key target that we were waiting for to signal a high time frame bullish continuation upon the breakout and a potential move up to $115,000 being sort of the height and the measured move of the prior parallel channel and range that we had over here. Now, obviously, now that we've closed above it, that is a massive bullish signal, as I've just discussed. But if we zoom into the shorter time frame charts, and even if we just take a look at the wicks, ever since these sort of candles have printed, the price action has been an absolute bloodbath. We've seen a massive spike in volatility and sort of massive invalidations of structures and horizontal levels on the short time frame. That's making the price action exceptionally ambiguous and difficult to predict moving forward, and kind of puts into place some doubts about how true of a breakout this really is, and whether or not we're seeing strength in the markets after this breakout, or whether or not it is one big bull trap. If we zoom into the 4-hour time frame, we can see much more clearly the way that the price action has really chopped up and down ever since that weekly candle close. So this is on Monday, 10 a.m. when we had that weekly candle close above the top of our weekly range, this dotted black trend line, right? And immediately after that, we had a massive liquidation event and breakdown all the way back to $102.9 thousand to retest our short time frame uptrend, right, which has sort of played out over the last week or so of price action. And after that retest, we've seen a bounce, right? So Bitcoin went back up, we pushed back above 105k resistance. We can see that horizontal level in the past, and upon flipping that level to a support on this retest and bounce, we have gone back up and are currently retesting that prior high at $107,000. So all this is really important, because as we've sort of seen this extremely volatile price action and these sort of new highs created here between prior 105 and the 107, we have seen alongside those new highs a continued appearance of bullish exhaustion here on the short time frame RSI, right? So what I'm talking about is against these higher highs, we've seen lower highs print on the RSI. And even here, if we take a look at this most recent retest of $107,000, we're seeing high highs in terms of the candle closes, maybe the wicks only very slightly. And once again, we have a secondary instance of bearish divergence, right? So momentum continues to drop. The strength of the buys continues to drop. And what we're essentially seeing here is sort of deviation highs. They're not actually true breakouts. And that's one of the reasons why we're failing to, on the short time frame, close above this buy side liquidity established at $107.1 thousand. That's sort of the short time frame trigger. So moving forward then, what we're essentially seeing here is a lot of weakness on the short time frame charts, which increases the probability that even though we've had a bullish weekly candle close, the short time frame price action is more likely to be negative, right, over the next small time frame. So taking us to retest once again 105k support, potentially below that our weekly uptrend, and falling below both of those levels is where we flip short time frame bearish, right? Where the potential for a continued correction becomes much, much higher. We're going to retrace prior low levels at 102,000, 101.2, 100, and then of course 100K, that psychological and major level on the daily chart. And otherwise, the only way Bitcoin's going to be able to continue to establish its current bullish trajectory is to invalidate this weakness structure that we're seeing here. So to break out of our short time frame downtrend on the RSI and to actually close above buy side liquidity here at $107.1 thousand. That's going to signal that strength has finally flipped back into the short time frame, and Bitcoin should continue on in its bullish trajectory to first of all retest $108,000. The prior all-time high, if we go over to the daily time frame, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. This all-time high established in December, $108,000, and then $110,000, the current all-time high established in the middle of January, and then beyond that, of course, price discovery, moving into that sort of high time frame breakout scenario that we had discussed, and what looks to be the most likely scenario on face value on the weekly chart. So going back to the short time frame, I guess the two most bullish sort of scenarios that we have here now are either an immediate invalidation of this RSI downtrend through a bullish continuation right now to $108,000, right? That would sort of flip these charts back to being really bullish as opposed to what they currently are as sort of neutral. We're neutral above 105 and this uptrend, and we're bearish below those levels, right? And we are bullish if we push above $107.1 thousand, right? That's when we're most likely to continue to see continuations to 108 and 110. Either that happens right now, or this bearish divergence that we're seeing on the charts plays out to force Bitcoin to retest 105K support, wherein we established a little bit of bullish divergence and some absorption of that selling pressure at that level of support, which facilitates a push above this RSI downtrend, and then sort of that push above 107 and a move up to 108 and 110 instead. So it's not necessarily that the weakness that we're seeing on the short time frame charts is completely invalidating the breakout that we've seen on the weekly time frame. It's more so just a warning sign that if these things do not invalidate and we do end up topping out at $107,000, there is a potential for us to see a larger correction despite the fact that the weekly candle has closed bullish. Moving over onto the daily time frame, once again, we can see that sort of weakness developing on the charts, even despite the weekly chart breakout. So here on the daily chart, we have our higher highs here at 105 and 107. And on the RSI, again, we have that weakness popping up. We have our bearish divergence. And bearish divergence is one of those things where generally the higher the time frame that you're seeing it, the more aggressive the correction is going to be. Obviously, that logic ends at some point. If you see bearish divergence on a monthly chart, that's more likely or not going to be absolutely meaningless because it's just too high of a time frame to actually make any sense. But on a daily chart and on weekly time frames, they start to actually really truly become big red flags, because generally or historically, bearish divergence on a weekly time frame has resulted in high time frame periods of correction. Even if we just take a look at these two high highs over here, we had 108 and 110, and taking a look at the RSI, bearish divergence, right? And Bitcoin then proceeded to correct all the way down to $73,000. And I'm not saying that that's exactly what's going to happen here. There were a lot of other things that happened throughout this period of price action that caused such an extensive period of downtrending price action. But it is like just sort of bringing to our attention how important this sort of instance of bearish divergence on the daily chart can be. And so what we're looking out for on the daily chart as well, similar to the weekly time frame, is a retest of these prior levels of support. We can see we flipped this entire liquidity zone to support as indicated by the Smart Money Concepts indicator, and as well as our sort of monthly uptrend over here that started all the way back on the 9th of April at $73,000. This uptrend and this horizontal level of support, they're sort of our key bullish validations, right? Even if we have bearish divergence, if all that does, that weakness only takes us to go on and retest our prior levels of support and we hold those levels and bounce, there is really no big cause for concern. It's only if this bearish divergence goes on to cause Bitcoin to lose those key bullish validations, our monthly uptrend and this base of support, is when things start to look quite red and things are starting to really pop up as really large warning signs. So moving forward, I guess, what to note about the recent price action is that we've had a really bullish weekly candle close, and that's really great. But before we sort of take really high risk decisive price action, behavior, we have to take a look at the smaller time frame price action and what's really going on, right? So we're waiting for these invalidations of our RSI downtrend for that to push upwards, for us to bounce on these levels of support and continue our bullish validation. And on the small time frame, the same exact thing, invalidate the weakness that we're seeing right now and flip the charts by pushing above 107.1 and closing above buy side liquidity. Alrighty guys, that is a wrap on the analysis for today. Thank you for tuning in for another episode. If you enjoyed the video or you learned something, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And join my free Telegram for more regular Bitcoin updates. If you're interested in my VIP trading channel, don't forget to message me down below on Telegram. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setup, so the exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. Hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!